here we are with Ryland Russel, the Ryland Russel.
The only that I know.
From the YouTube channel, Ryland Russel.
Yep, that's the one.
We're actually neighbors.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, his church is what, 3 miles from
Right,
ours? So
right.
pretty crazy that we live in this small town. It's a suburb of Tulsa, and yet there's 2 of us YouTubers here in the church production sound space. Pretty awesome.
It's insane.
But this is my first time here at Central Baptist Church.
Well, welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thanks for having us. So we're just going to take a look at what he has going on here, critique it, show him what he can do better.
Thank you. Leave some comments below because I need all the help I can get.
Anyway, looking forward to it. So
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
why don't we start by, why don't we take a look at your sound system, what mixer you're using, tell us about your PA, all the
Sweet.
basics there.
Awesome. Well, when I got here 12 years ago, we had a couple of JBLs on some sticks on the side of the stage. Now we have an EV line array system. We have 3 different arrays with subs on top of each array, and then just some EV front fills that are across the front of the stage. They just do a little bit of filling in there at the front couple of rows. We have a pretty wide room, and so after doing a bunch of research and having actual companies come in and demos things, like that's super important. Don't just go out and buy something if you're spending this much money. Demo it in your space. We settled on these EV line arrays. I couldn't tell you the model numbers, but if that's important, I'll comment below and I'll figure it out. But that's all being fed from our M32. So just the good old faithful M32. We did splurge a little bit and didn't go X32, And we have an X32 in another venue here in the church, and man, the faders on this are so much better. Like it's fine. You can mix on an X32, great. But I do like the M32. It's very nice.
So I get this question a lot, like, what's the difference between the M32, X32? And I'm always telling people it's the same software that's running it. Preamps, I think, are slightly different. Only a keen ear would probably hear the difference between the two. You don't hear the difference.
No.
The main thing is like the hardware. Like you just said, the faders, the way they feel is a lot different than the X32.
Yeah, they feel a little more premium, but it's not a big deal when you're mixing, I don't think.
Yeah.
So.
Functionality, though, exact same.
Yeah. And we are not doing any digital I/O as far as like snake to stage because we already had copper ran for all of our boxes on stage. And so we just went ahead. That's a nice thing about doing this kind of board is we just plugged right in with all of our old snake stuff. The only digital stuff we're doing is we do use the P16s on stage for little mixing stations, and then just USB over here to multi-track record, really just to go back and critique. And if we ever do remix anything, it's very rare because we're also using this board as our broadcast mixer. We don't have a separate room. We're not using any plugins or anything like that. It's just a separate stereo post fader bus, like I think you guys do that too. And it's worked great. So the nice thing about that is, like, say a guitar solo gets brought up in the room, it also gets brought up in the house, but setting those individual like first levels is able to be customized for your stream mix. And we add audience mics in for that, and just some little plugins. I don't even know what they are. Maybe sonic maximizer and maybe some extra compression or limiting or something like that. But we're pretty happy with it. It's been really good.
I love to hear that because there's a lot of smaller churches, that are trying to manage 2 mixers, one for the room mix, one for the live stream. And I found out recently that the big churches don't even do that because we've toured Church on the Move and Victory, which are 2 of the largest churches here in the Tulsa area. They both run, Victory runs like a bus mix like we do with most things set to post fader. Church on the Move is just sending their room mix with audience mics added in, and then they just send it out to their live streams. Just like, keep it simple, y'all.
I mean, if you guys are like me, it's hard enough to find a qualified sound guy to run one soundboard, let alone, I think that's what happens is we stick somebody on that broadcast mix and they're not great at maybe running sound. And I think it's harder to run a broadcast mix than it probably is to run a live mix. Just because you're sitting there in this room with headphones or a couple of speakers, and it's, you just don't have that live like reaction and hearing it in a bigger space. I could be wrong about that, but we're happy with just sticking with one for now.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And really, mixing in the room is a different skill than mixing for a live stream. Because mixing for a live stream, if you're in a separate room, it's like being in a recording studio.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And you use some of the same techniques as you would in live sound, but you apply them differently.
Yeah.
I have people ask me all the time questions for like, how do I do this in a recording studio? I'm like, I'm not the guy to help you out with that because I'm a live sound guy, and they're really 2 different things.
Right. Well, and another thing that we do is our house is all mono because we have 3 different line arrays, and it's a really wide room. So we're mono in the house, but then we are definitely stereo when it comes to the live stream mix. And it's a little finagling to get that to work on these boards because you can't actually use like the panning because of the way we're setting it up. We do it panning between the two buses. And so I have a video on my channel as well talking about how we have our setup. If you follow Kate's channel, which obviously you do, then this is probably you're like, get on with it. We've heard all this. We know all this.
No, it's still good. It's good confirmation for people to hear like what's going on at different churches. So
Yeah.
awesome, man.
The only other sound things that we have, we don't use any wedges. Everybody's on in-ears. I do have these little speakers set up in the sound booth where I can wirelessly talk back to my guys back here with just a foot pedal. It's wireless. It goes through my wireless mics. We're using all old Shure ULX S4 for our vocalists and our pastor's mics and our stream host mics. So that's old, but they're still legal, still good. So we're rocking those. But that's kind of a nice thing because we don't have a different talk back besides just him talking to me. But sometimes I need to talk to him. Hey, kill the tracks.
All right, Ryland, why don't you go ahead and show us one of your vocal tracks, what kind of EQ and compression and things like that you're putting on it.
Okay, so this is my vocal that we've pulled up here. I guess if we just go to the EQ, you can see it's very simple EQ. I think EQing your room is the most important thing. And that way, we're not having to deal with tons of cutting of frequencies. We've got the low cut at 132 for some reason. I don't know why. I would probably go like 120, but that's fine. And then just some little scoops here to help with my voice and a little bit of sparkle on top there, And we do have some compression here. There's our different ratios, attacks for my vocal. I am a belter, like I don't ever sing softly. And so for my channel, we've got that set up that way. And that's pretty much it. For reverbs, let's see, how do I go to that one? We use a vintage room on our vocalists. Those are the settings that we're using. And that's controlled. We have ours assigned to these knobs right here. So that way they can mix to taste the reverb in, the reverb out. And they know about 12 o'clock is where we usually want it. And then we've got our delay. We use the stereo delay for just vocalists. And that's on number 4. And they can turn that up. And then we got, your tap tempo here. And so that's just really easy to get to without having to change anything on the sliders and stuff to be able to manage those.
So you just have one reverb you're using on vocals?
Yep, just one verb on the vocals. We do use a second verb, a vintage room verb that's just going on our snare drum, mainly for our stream mix. We don't have a ton of that in the house. And that's it. That's all the effects we use.
Awesome. Looks good. That's exactly how I would mix a vocal too. So
sweet.
Killed it, man.
I got the approval, the stamp of approval.
The trend continues for churches that use the same live stream mix strategy that I use at my small church. There's no extra mixer, no DAW, and no extra volunteers, just a simple strategy that creates a great live stream mix from your room mix. I have a course that'll walk you through how to implement this strategy at your church. Get access to it for free by using the link in the description. I call the course Live Stream Mix Made Simple. It really is the easiest way to create a great live stream mix. You might want to press pause and go get access to that course right now before you forget. The link is in the description. All right, now back to the tour.
Your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my...
All right, so you just played a track for me in here so I could hear the room. And it's a little bit echoey, but it's not bad. But I see you got some sound panels up here, so tell us about that. Were these already here when you got here? Did you put them up?
These were here. Someone decided we needed burgundy ones in the middle of that diamond area, so we actually took those down just because it just drove us crazy. It's like not our brand. I don't know why we have burgundy, whatever. We took them out. But yeah, this room, luckily, we're pretty lucky in this room. We have the drop ceiling, we have the sound panels, we have, chairs, carpet everywhere. And then we have giant drapes as well on the stage. So it's a pretty dead room. And that's one of the reasons we're able to get away with doing uncaged drums. They're still kind of live, but there's no slap back or anything like that, that we're having to deal with. So yeah, the panels help. They're cheap panels. I can look and see what brand they are, but they're like $50. I mean, I'm sure they're just Roxel insulation on some kind of board covered with fabric. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was surprised really at how dead it sounded in here because this is a pretty big room.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of slapback, but not much at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
The only thing I noticed is that the lows in the room are a little bit swimmy,
Yeah.
which is a thing with any room. It was a problem in our room too. So there's sound panels that can help with that. They're just a little bit pricey.
Yeah. In our room it's wide and weird, but I mean, it's not the worst room ever for sure. Yeah, we're pretty lucky. I've been in some really bad spaces, and it's just you have to treat everything, you know.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been good.
Awesome. All right, so I see we're going to talk about drums, but first of all, I see you're using P16 personal mixers. Does
Yep.
everybody have one of those? Or
Everybody has a P16. Some of them are being fed into wireless in-ears. We have, I think, 5 different wireless in-ears, either for singers or guitarists or myself. Maybe 4 actually, but yeah, love having the P16s. Frees our sound guy up to never have to worry about it. For our environment where we're not like changing week to week too much, people save their preset if it's a different player that week, and they know they can get going, you know, really quickly. So that's helpful. But here at the drums, we've got a beautiful DW set. Sounds great on its own. Kind of a fake Black Beauty impersonation snare. I don't remember the exact model, but it's not the Black Beauty. It's kind of like it wants to be the Black Beauty, but but it sounds great.
Let's hear it.
And
all right, sounds good.
then for cymbals, we have Heartbeat cymbals. I think they're the custom drives.
Nice. I've not heard of these.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. This one is the Heartbeat Epic line ride cymbal, and these are great cymbals for a room like ours where we're not caging because they decay much quicker. They're a darker cymbal, much thinner, and previously we had Paragon cymbals that are like Neil Peart from Rush, his cymbals, so they're like just in your face, you know. We changed to these and it just changed everything. So Heartbeat, they're like a Canadian company. They work with churches a lot and gave us a good deal. So look into those if you need that kind of cymbal. Miking wise, we got a hodgepodge here. We got the Shure, I forget which one that is. I don't know. It's the Beta kick mic. We got some Audix mics. We got a 57 on the snare. We don't do any overhead miking, which I think is different, you know. Mm-hmm. For our space, we tried overhead miking, and then we tried just putting a couple of side mics here that they're just catching the cymbals mainly. So we're close miking all the drums, and then we're just kind of getting a stereo picture of the cymbals. And so for our stream mix, it works okay. I just don't, in our space, I didn't want like arms sticking up over, you know, and so I'm willing to sacrifice like what I would gain audio-wise with that to kind of clean it up a little bit. And I didn't want to like close mic every cymbal either. I probably could do that and maybe submix it, but it works fine for us, you know.
So these two mics, are they just going to the stream, or are they in the room too?
They are lightly in the room,
Okay.
for sure, but they're much lighter. And then, yes, stream. They're bumped up for the stream. And also, for our in-ears, we're running a submix of all the drums to just one channel on the P16. So our drummers, some of them like the cymbals a little bit hotter in their ears, some of them like them a little bit lower, and so we can adjust that.
Awesome. You got some drum pads over here too.
Yeah, we run the Roland SPD SX, and we use that just for some sampled sounds. It's been really, really tasty and helpful to add some variants, like, you know, with those different sampled sounds. A lot of music that's out there with worship stuff, people are using these, and we love it. It's been super solid. We did use an Alesis sample pad first. It's in the closet now because there was one Sunday, like it was double triggering so much that my drummer was like, send me what unit to buy, and I'm buying it now. So I was like, all right, this is the one you need then. And so he actually purchased that for us, and
Nice.
It's been rock solid. Yeah, Roland SPD SX.
And Dylan, we got a special effect over here. I want you to listen.
Oh, the squeaky chair. Yes.
So I'll go to the store and get you some WD-40 because there's all these mics right here that are picking up this special effect. Sorry, I just had to give you a hard time
it's
about
so
that.
True. It's so true. It drives us crazy. I don't ever hear it when we're playing, but if it's like a prayerful moment and he's like moving, I'm like,
Yeah.
bro,
What is that? It's just one of those things you forget about. Like you think about it Sunday
Yep.
morning, nobody has time to go to Lowe's to get some WD-40,
Yep.
and then yeah.
Yep, so true, man.
Yep.
That's funny.
All right, so you got a pretty sweet piano rig here. Man, they got it going on. Got some screens up here.
Yeah, so we used to have a giant grand piano on stage. Then we hollowed this one out, and it works so well because we've encased a couple of different screens here. This is just a MIDI controller. It's just a Casio that's got nice weighted keys. A Mac Mini is buried in there, and we're running main stage with the little nano controller, and I think that's Abel Mendoza's thing. And our pianist really likes having sheet music, and so she's got the Bluetooth pedal turner, and she can have 2 different sheets of music on here for what she's playing. And then we got our little P16 mount there, which is handy. I did feed like what's going out to the sound system also back in to the piano, so she has a little bit of ambient. What's going out there is coming through the speakers of this piano.
Nice.
So it's just a little bit of like feeling in the response of the piano that, you know, gives a little bit of that. And you can practice that way without having to have in-ears or have the sound system on too. So
Genius, man.
yeah, and then the other little hack that we did was this little plexiglass music stand, because this will fit into the old music stand. And
Nice.
so we have a traditional service that she can throw her prelude music up here, or sometimes she'll just keep it up there because she can see through it now to still see her other music. This is all running from Planning Center Music Stand, just in a Chrome browser. And a lot of people don't realize you can do that. They think you have to have an iPad to do that. But that's how we load it up every Sunday, is just in the Chrome browser.
Dude,
Yeah, it's handy.
you think through like all the details.
You do a lot of Googling, don't you?
A lot of YouTubing, yeah.
That's awesome.
Googling.
I love it.
And a lot of trial and error and things that don't work. So, but yeah, it's handy.
Yeah. What was the coolest thing that stuck out to you on this tour? Let me know in the comments. If you couldn't tell, Ryland is a master of excellence on a budget. And not only that, but he really knows how to think through those little things and Macgyver some great tools for his worship ministry. If you've never checked out Ryland's YouTube channel, please do so. We'll leave a link in the description. And there you're going to find videos that further explain all of the stuff that he talked about in this tour. Ryland also has accomplished some killer visuals and an incredible live stream camera setup on a budget. If you want to see Dylan tour these things with Ryland, you can click the link on your screen or in the description. If you want to see more tours like this one, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to see future content, and we'll see you next time.